जय हिंद दोस्तों, फिर से आपका स्वागत है हमारे वाजीराम एंड रवि के प्रीलिम्स की रिवीजन सीरीज़ में। और यह एक मास्टर वीडियो होने वाला होगा। एक मास्टर वीडियो हम लोगों ने पहले ही पब्लिश कर दिया था, जो करीब 2 सवा 2 घंटे का था। यह भी इसी तरह का मास्टर वीडियो होगा जो करीब 2 घंटे के आसपास का होगा। तो आप लोग बस इस वीडियो को ज़्यादा बार देखें, रिवाइज करें, ताकि आपका करंट अफेयर का रिवीजन अच्छे से हो सके। तो आपसे बस ये अनुरोध रहेगा कि अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं और अभी तक हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ इसे सब्सक्राइब करके हमें सपोर्ट करें और वीडियो को ज़्यादा शेयर करें, ताकि और सभी लोगों तक यह वीडियो पहुंच जाए। और जो भी लोग यूपीएससी प्री देने वाले हैं इस बार के लिए, उन तक इस वीडियो को जरूर पहुंचे, और ताकि वो भी अपना करंट अफेयर का रिवीजन अच्छे से कर सकें। आप लोग कमेंट बॉक्स में जरूर बताएंगे आपको हमारी यह पहल कैसी लग रही है और आप इससे कितने लाभान्वित हो रहे हैं। और यह मास्टर वीडियो हमारे पहले के वीडियोज़ का कंपाइलेशन होगा, तो आप लोग बस इसे देखें और रिवीजन करते रहें, ताकि आपका एग्जाम में प्रिपरेशन अच्छा हो सके। तो आइए शुरू करते हैं आज का हमारा मास्टर वीडियो।
जय हिंद दोस्तों, वेलकम बैक टू आवर चैनल, जिसमें हम लोग कर रहे हैं वाजीराम एंड रवि का प्रीलिम्स क्विक रिवीजन 24 के लिए, जो कि पार्ट 1 होगा मई से लेकर दिसंबर 2023 तक का। और आप लोगों को पता है कि एग्ज़ाम 26 मई को होने वाला है। तो ये हमारा कंटिन्यू सेशन रहेगा। इसमें हम लोगों ने कई सारे टॉपिक्स कर लिए थे। आज हमारा टॉपिक एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड जो भी है वो चलता रहेगा। यहाँ देखिए एजुकेशन सेक्शन से इसमें कई सारे टॉपिक्स हम लोगों ने कर लिया था और इसी का आज कंटिन्यूएशन रहेगा। तो आपसे बस यही अनुरोध है कि अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं और अभी तक हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ इसे सब्सक्राइब करके हमें सपोर्ट करें, क्योंकि आपके सपोर्ट से हमें प्रोत्साहन मिलता है और हम और अच्छे वीडियो आपके लिए बना कर लाते हैं। और जैसा आप लोगों ने पहले के वीडियोस को स्नेह और प्रेम दिया, उससे काफ़ी हम गदगद हुए हैं, तो और हम और अच्छे वीडियो आपके लिए बना कर ला रहे हैं। तो बस हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें, वीडियो को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें लोगों तक जो इस बार का प्रीलिम्स देने वाला है, उन तक इसे ज़रूर पहुँचाएँ, ताकि वो भी अपने प्रीलिम्स के लिए रिवीजन अच्छे से कर सके। और आपको कुछ नहीं करना, बस आपको वीडियो को आराम से देखते रहना, सुनते रहना, आपका रिवीजन उसी से हो जाएगा। इसे जितना ज़्यादा बार देखेंगे उतना ही अच्छा आपका रिवीजन होगा। तो आप लोग बस कंटिन्यू रखें। आज हम लोग यहाँ से शुरू करने वाले हैं साथी पोर्टल से। तो आइए शुरू करते हैं। साथी सेल्फ असेसमेंट टेस्ट एंड हेल्प फॉर एंट्रेंस एग्जामिनेशन portal has been launched by Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education in collaboration with IIT Kanpur to offer quality education to students preparing for competitive examinations. About the Sati portal, open learning platform available to students at no cost. It is a portal launched to provide quality education to every student who intend to appear for competitive examination like JEE, NEET, various state level engineering and other examinations. It makes use of an indigenously developed AI program called Porter, developed by IIT कानपुर। फीचर्स क्या है इसका तो देखते हैं। द पोर्टल प्रोवाइड a 45-day crash course available in 5 different languages including English to support a student preparing for JEE and other engineering examination. All India mock tests are conducted every weekend following the same format utilized by the National Testing Agency NTA in organizing the JEE. Sathi for School. It combines both the NCERT studies and JEE learning standards into an extensive curriculum, allowing you to find content that meet both your teaching needs, help students score well in board examination, and also prepare for JEE at the same time. Next is Global Initiative for Academic Network. 8 years after its inception, the Ministry of Education is gearing up to restart the 4th phase of Global Initiative of Academic Network GIAN. GIAN in higher education was launched in 2015. It is a program of Ministry of Education. Aim क्या है तो tapping the talent pool of scientists and entrepreneurs internationally to encourage their engagement with the institutions of higher education in India. नोडल एजेंसी क्या है तो IIT खड़गपुर। साइलेंट फीचर्स ऑफ ज्ञान क्या है तो एन honorarium is paid to the foreign expert to cover their travel and their expenses. Short-term courses are conducted by their experts, faculties in Indian institutions. This program was first launched to establish collaboration between India and United States of America, but later the scope of the program was extended. The duration of course differ from different courses, varying from 1 week to a maximum of 3 weeks. Next is initiative taken to promote the sports. India achieves a milestone by winning 107 medals, 28 gold, 38 silver and 41 bronze in 19th Asian Game. Various initiative for promotion of sports in India. तो कौन कौन सा इनिशिएटिव है देखते हैं। यहाँ इनिशिएटिव है, इधर डिस्क्रिप्शन है। खेलो इंडिया स्कीम flagship program launched in 2016 to revive and promote sports at the grassroots level. National Sports Talent Search Scheme NTSSS identifies and nurture sporting talent at the school level by offering scholarship and training program. Rural sports program encourages participation in traditional and rural sports across India by organizing competitions and providing infrastructure support. Urban Sports Infrastructure Scheme aims to develop sports infrastructure in urban area by constructing and upgrading stadium, multipurpose hall, and other facilities. Fit India Movement National campaign launched in 2019 to encourage fitness and physical activities among citizens. Target Olympic Podium Scheme TOPS and attempts to provide assistance to India's top athletes. To scheme look The scheme look to add a premium to the participations of those athletes so that they can win medals in the Olympic. National Anti-Doping Agency NADA ensure fair play and promote ethical sport practice in India. Our next heading is food and nutrition, in which first topic is पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी. This program is under Ministry of Women and Child Development. The focus is on early childhood care and education (ECCE) at Anganwadi across the country, which in turn is an important component of Mission Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0 envisaged under the NEP 2020. In financial year 2021 and 22, the government restructured the ICDS and Poshan Prime Minister's overreaching scheme for holistic nourishment Abhiyan in Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. The aim is not only to make Anganwadi Center the nutrition hub but also education imparting centers providing at least 2 hours of higher quality preschool instruction on a daily basis. Under this scheme, the government will target children's physical and motor development, cognitive development, socio-economical, ethical development, etc. Next is Multidimensional Poverty Index 2023. The Global Multidimensional Poverty Index (MPI) was released by the United Nations Development Programme (UNDP) and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative (OPHI). It measures poverty across 3 equally weighted dimensions: health, education, and standard of living, comprising 10 indicators. If a person is deprived in at least one third of the indicator, they are identified as MPI poor. According to 2023 index, 1.1 billion out of 6.1 billion people live in acute multidimensional poverty across 110 countries, maximum being in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia. 25 countries including India successfully halved their global MPI value within 15 years, showing that rapid progress is attainable. In India, a total of 415 million people moved out of poverty within 15 years from 2005-6 to 2019-21, which incites falling from 51.1% in 2025-6 to 16.4% in 2019-20. National Multidimensional Poverty Index. It is published by Niti Aayog. It is tailored to the national priorities. There are 3 dimensions as in MPI index, but with 12 indicators, 2 additional being maternal health and bank account under health and the standard of living dimension respectively. India has achieved a reduction in its MPI value and headcount ratio between 2015 and 16 and 1921. About 135.5 million people exited poverty between 2015-16 and 2019-21. ग्लोबल मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी इंडेक्स. तो डायमेंशंस देख लेते हैं कौन कौन से और फिर इंडिकेटर क्या है. तो हेल्थ में है न्यूट्रिशन एंड चाइल्ड मोर्टालिटी. एजुकेशन में ईयर ऑफ स्कूलिंग एंड स्कूल अटेंडेंस. एंड लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड में है कुकिंग फ्यूल, सैनिटेशन, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, हाउसिंग एंड एसेट्स. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज फूड लेवल टू हैव QR कोड. FSSAI has recommended the inclusion of QR code on food product for accessibility by visually impaired individuals. FSSAI is a statutory body established under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It was established in 2008 under the Food Safety and Standard Act 2006. The recent advisory notes that ensuring inclusive access to information is a fundamental right of citizen. Also, the QR code inclusion does not replace the requirement to provide mandatory information on the product level. Global Hunger Index. Currently, GHI is jointly published by World Hunger Life and Concerned Wildlife worldwide. India ranked 111th out of 125 countries in GHI 2023. India's rank was 107 out of 121 countries in 2022. India has a level of hunger that is serious. The GHI captures 3 dimensions of hunger: insufficient availability of food, shortfall in the nutrition status of child and child mortality. The index includes the following four equally weighted indicators, that is undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting, and child mortality. Next topic, protocol for management of malnutrition in child. It has been put into place by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in collaboration with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Ministry of Ayush. This is the first such protocol by the government. The protocol provides guideline for management of child suffering from severe acute malnutrition (SAM) processes needed to for a healthy weight and comprehensive norm of dietary requirement. The identification of malnourished child and their treatment is an integral aspect of Mission Poshan 2.0. SAM is defined by a very low weight for height, by visually severe wasting, or by the presence of nutritional edema. The protocol also includes unique initiatives like the Body Mother concept, which was first used in the state of Assam. Under this concept, the mother of a healthy baby guides the mother of a malnutrition child as at an Anganwadi center every week. Global Report on Food Crisis 2023. It is prepared by the Global Network Against Food Crisis GNAFC. This organization was founded by the EU, FAO, and WFP in 2016. It has been established that between 691 million and 783 million people in the world suffered from hunger in 2022. Food security means availability, accessibility, and affordability of food to all people at all the times. In 2022, an estimated 2.4 billion people did not have access to adequate food. Stunting among children under 5 years of age has declined steadily from 104.2 million in 2000 to 148.1 million in 2022. Child wasting declined from 54.1 million in 2000 to 45 million in 2022. World Food Program. According to New World Program WFP, New Food Program WFP report, the research of a school meals in low-income countries remain 4% below pre-pandemic level despite a recovery overall. World Food Program is a joint program of United Nations and Food and Agriculture Organization FAO that deal with hunger, eradication and promote food security in the world. SDG Goal 2. A member of United Nations Development Program UNDP, WFP is a world's largest humanitarian agency established in 1961 and headquartered at Rome, Italy. It is operating in more than 120 countries which provide food assistance during emergency and works with community to enhance nutrition and generate resilience. It has been functioning in India since 1963 and awarded Nobel Peace Prize in 2020. Funding. WFP is funded by voluntary donation from government, corporation and private donors. यूनाइटेड नेशन डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम, तो क्या प्रोग्राम है ये देख लेते हैं. द यूनाइटेड नेशन डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम UNDP empower developing nation through expert advices, training, grants. They prioritize support for the least developed countries and foster technical and investment collaboration between nations. Executive board made up of representatives from 36 countries around the world who serve on a rotating basis, headed by an administrator. Fund entirely by voluntary contribution from member nation. UNDP support to United Nations Sustainable Development Group UNSDG working to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Next is vulnerable section. तो उसमें पहला है मिशन वात्सल्य स्कीम. It has launched in 2021 by MOWCD to provide a roadmap for achieving development and child protection priorities aligned with SDGs. It is an umbrella scheme for child protection services in India which aim to secure a healthy and happy childhood for every child in the country. The Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Child Act 2015 and POSCO Act 2012 from the basis framework for implementation of the mission. It is a centrally sponsored scheme in partnership with the state government and UT administration. At the village level, the Child Welfare and Protection Committee (WC and PC) will identify children who are likely to be in challenging circumstances, such as orphanage or street children. These youngsters will be helped through the Mission Vatsalya scheme sponsorship component. The Child Welfare Committee CWC will suggest and sponsor, and the Sponsorship and Foster Care Approval Committee SFCSC will approve the provision of sponsorship facilities. Surrogacy Regulation Act 2021. It defines surrogacy as a practice where a woman gives birth to a child for an intending couple with the intention to hand it over to them after the birth. It is permitted only for altruistic purposes or for couple who suffer from proven infertility. It is prohibited from commercial purposes. Status of child क्या होगा तो once the child is born, it will be deemed to be the biological child of the couple, and abortion of such a fetus is allowed only with the consent of surrogated mother, as per the provision of the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. Eligibility क्या है तो the couple is deemed eligible if they have been married for 5 years and it has different age limit for husband and wife. The couple must not have any living child. Child have mental or physical disability is exempted from this. Also, a surrogate mother has to be a close relative of the couple, a married woman with a child or her own. The essential certificate of being suffering from proven infertility of either partner is certified by a district medical board. Also, the National Surrogacy Board (NSB) and State Surrogacy Board (SSB) has been constituting for enforcing standard for surrogacy clinic. They must also provide insurance coverage for 16 months of surrogate mother, covering any postpartum complication. Same-sex marriage. A 5-judge constitution bench of the apex court headed by Chief Justice of India ruled in a 3:2 verdict against giving constitutional validity to same-sex marriage. Further, it was pronounced that right to marry is not a fundamental right. Also, one's sexual orientation cannot decide the suitability of being adoptive parents. It was agreed that a high-level cabinet committee will look into rights that can be conferred on non-heterosexual couples. Mera Yuva Bharat, M by Bharat. It has been established as an autonomous body through cabinet resolution that will serve as an enabling mechanism powered by technology for youth development and youth-led development in the age group of 15 to 29 years. Primary objective: it would be a whole of government platform for youth development. It will offer suitable opportunities for youngsters to enable it voluntary work in the field of their choice. Thus, there is no financial remuneration involved. It will act as an enabler for creating a physical plus digital ecosystem and empower youth individual to become catalyst for community transformation. Issue of child marriage. Over the last few days, Assam has arrested over 2,000 men in a statewide crackdown on child marriage that has taken place in the state. Under what law are the arrests being made in Assam? Man who married girl below 14 years of age would be booked under the POCSO Protection of Child from Sexual Orientation Act 2012, which criminalizes sex between a minor and an adult. The law does not recognize a minor's consent as valid. Meanwhile, those marrying girls between 14 and 18 years would be booked under the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. In 21, Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 was introduced in Lok Sabha. Currently, it is studied by the Standing Committee. The bill seeks to amend the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act and increase the marriage age of women from existing 18 years to 21 years. What is the debate on Muslim age of marriage? Under Muslim personal law, the marriage of a bride who has attained puberty is presumed in the absence of evidence on completion of age of 15 years. However, under Child Marriage Act, the minimum legal age to get married is 18 for girls and 41 for boys. Child marriage in India. In the last 5 years, it declined by 3.5% point to reach 23.3% in 2020 and 21. According to the latest National Family Health Survey 5 data, West Bengal, Bihar and Tripura top the list with more than 40% of women aged 20 to 21 married below 18, according to the NFSA data. Next topic, the path to equal report. The paths to equal report twins indicates indices of women's empowerment and gender equality. Report was jointly released by UN Women and UNDP. About the report, this report launched in July 2023 by UN Women and Human Development Report Office at UNDP analyzes data from 114 countries and introduces two new indices. First one is Women Empowerment Indexes. WEI measures women's power and freedom to make choices in various dimensions like health, education, inclusion, decision making, and violence against women. Global Gender Parity Index GGPI measures progress in achieving gender parity between women and male across key dimensions of human development, which includes good health, education, financial inclusion, and decision making. की फाइंडिंग्स क्या है तो देखते हैं. वुमेन आर empowered to achieve an average only 60% of their full potential as measured by the Women Empowerment Index WEI. Women achieve on average 28% less than men across key human development dimension as measured by the Global Gender Parity Index GGPI. No country has achieved full gender parity or full women empowerment. In India, gender parity was low despite medium human development. UN Women क्या है तो देख लेते हैं. UN Women is the United Nations entity decided to gender equality and empowerment of women. It was created in July 2010 by the United Nations General Assembly. It was created by merging the four bodies of UN system. कौन कौन सा देख लेते हैं तो Division for the Advancement of Women, DAW, International Research and Training Institute for the Advancement of Women, INSTRAW, Office of the Special Advisor on Gender Issue and Achievement of Women, OSAGI, United Nations Development Fund for Women, UNIFEM. It is headquartered at the United Nations in New York. Next is modern slavery. Global Slavery Index based on 2022 estimates was released by Bark Free Foundation, a human rights organization. According to Global Slavery Index 2023, on any given day in 2021, as many as 50 million people were living in modern slavery. What is modern slavery? Modern slavery refers to situation of exploitation that a person cannot refuse or leave because of threat, violence, coercion, deception, or abuses of power. It is an umbrella term and include a whole variety of abuses such as forced labor, forced marriage, debt bondage, sexual exploitation, human trafficking, slavery-like practices, forced or surveilled marriage, or the sale and exploitation of children. Country-wise finding: the worst offender are countries like North Korea, Eritrea, Mauritania, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Tajikistan. Lowest prevalence: Switzerland, Norway, Germany, Netherlands, Sweden. Maximum number of people living in modern slavery is India, 11 million, then China, then North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, and Indonesia. The Gender Snapshot 2023. UN Women and UN Development of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA, released progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The Gender Snapshot 2023 report. United Nations Development on Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, or the United Nations Development on Economic and Social Affairs, is a department of the United Nations Secretariat responsible for providing policy guidance, analytical support, and technical assistance to member states in the areas of economic and social development. UNDESA also play a leading role in the implementation of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Next is Sarista Scheme. Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, Dr. Virendra Kumar, launched the Sarista Scheme for residential education for students of higher school in targeted areas. The Sarista scheme will be beneficial for ST students, those who could not reach for higher quality education. It provides for higher quality education for meritorious but poor SC student in CBSE affiliated reputed residential school across the country. Approximately 3,000 seats are provided each year for admission in class 9th and 11th, and the entire cost of the school fee and residential charge will be borne by the department. The students belonging to scheduled caste studying in class 8th and 10th in the current academic year are eligible for availing the benefit of a scheme and are selected through the transparent mechanism through the National Entrance Test for Sarista NETS, which is conducted by the National Testing Agency NTA for admission in class 9th and 11th. Students belonging to marginalized income group within the SC community whose parental annual income is up to 2.5 lakh are eligible. Successful conditions after following the e-counseling progress are given admission in the school of their choice anywhere in the country for their academic per session. The department shall bear the total cost of a school fee and hostel charges till completion of their academic up to class 12. There, Thereafter, the student of the scheme may avail benefits of other scheme of the department for the higher education. Next scheme is Hakki Pikki tribes. 31 tribal belonging to Hakki Pikki are stranded in Sudan, where violent clashes between a powerful parliamentary forces and the country's armed forces are going on. Hakki Pikki, Hakki in Kannada means bird and Pikki means catcher, are a semi-nomadic tribe traditionally of bird catcher and hunter. It is one of the major tribal community in Karnataka. They are reside in the western and southern state of India, mostly near forest areas. The community migrated to North India, mainly Gujarat and Rajasthan, and is now mainly concentrated in Shivamoga, Devangiri, and Mysore district of Karnataka. They are recognized as a scheduled tribe in India. Occupation क्या है तो after the implementation of stricter wildlife law, the tribe changed its occupation from hunting to selling spices, flour, Ayurveda formulation, and herbal oil. They now travel globally to sell their products, especially in African continent where there is demand for cheaper alternative to Western medicine. Language. Despite being surrounded by Dravidian language and living in southern India, the community speak an Indo-Aryan language. Their mother tongue was designated as Wagri by a scholar. UNESCO has listed Wagri as one of the endangered language. Ritual and custom. The tribe follow Hindu tradition and celebrate Hindu festival. The tribe prefers cross cousin marriage. The society is matriarchal where the groom gives dowry to the bride family. The eldest son of the family is not supposed to cut his hair so that he can be identified easily. They are not non-vegetarians. Elimination of child labor. The 52nd report of Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labor, Textile and Silk Development has been tabled in the Parliament regarding implementation of policy to eliminate child labor. Child labor meaning prevalence and India's commitment to eliminate. According to the ILO, child labor includes any work that deprives children of their childhood potential and dignity, physical and mental development. Article 24 of the Constitution of India prohibits employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory or mine or in any hazardous employment. The prevalence of child labor in rural area is around 14% and is close to 3 times higher than in urban area, that is close to 5%. Child labor is more prevalent among boys than girls at every age. The agriculture sector accounts for 70% of child labor, followed by service 20% and industry 10%. Definition of child as per various laws initiative in India. As per the Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, Kalpra. Child means a person who has not completed his or her 14 year of age. The amendment made to the Act in 2016 bar the employment of adolescent in occupation that deals with hazardous working conditions such as chemical plant and mines. Under the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, child means a male and or female aged 6 to 14 year. As per the Minimum Wage Act 1948, Vide its amendment in 1986, a child is defined as a person who has not completed his 14th year of age. The Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015 defines child as a person who has not completed 18 years of age. The term adolescent is not defined in JJ Act 2015. The employment of children in contravention of Kalpra Act is a cognizable offence, whereas under JJ Act 2015 it is non-cognizable offence. The Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare define an adolescent as a person between 10 to 19 years. Next is PM Janaman scheme. Union Cabinet approved the Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyay Mahabhiyan PM Janaman. The scheme is aimed at providing PVTG household and habitation with basic facilities such as safe housing, clean drinking water and sanitation, improved access to education, health and nutrition, road and telecom connectivity and sustainable livelihood opportunities. This initiative is part of Pradhan Mantri PVTG Development Mission announced in India in 2022-23. Particularly vulnerable tribe groups PVTG. तो क्या है अबाउट में देखते हैं PVTGs आर मोस्ट vulnerable among the tribal groups. In 1975, the government of India declared 52 tribal groups as PVTGs on the recommendation of Dehwar Commission. Currently, there are 74 such groups in 22,544 villages across 18 states and 1 union territory of India. Totally about 28 lakh individuals. Odisha has the highest number of more than 2.5 lakh of PVTGs. Characterized by population stagnant or declining, technology pre-agriculture, literacy level extremely low and economy sustainable level. Variance in population sizes vary significantly from under 1000 in some groups such as the Great Andamanese around 50 and the Ongi around 100 to over 1 lakh in others such as Maria Gond of Maharashtra and Saura in Odisha. Some tribes in central India like Birhor face stagnation while the Ongi and Andamanese are experiencing a decline. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज मिसलेनियस. उसमें पहला देखते हैं नेशनल इंडिकेटर फ्रेमवर्क NIF फॉर SDGs. National Indicator Framework NIF Progress Report 2023 on Sustainable Development Indicator was released by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation MOSP. The Interagency and Expert Group of SDG Indicator IAEG SDGs developed a Global Indicator Framework GIF for monitoring SDG global and objective. At the moment, the GIF has 248 indicators and 231 of which are unique. In order to accomplish this at national level, the MOSPI created a National Indicator Framework NIF in 2018. NIF, like GIF, is developing in nature and currently contains 284 indicators. What are SDGs? The Sustainable Development Goals. SDGs, also known as Global Goal, are a collection of 17 interconnected objectives designed to serve as a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. At present, NIF includes 284 parameters and these indicators aligned with the SDGs. The global goals for sustainable development कौन कौन सा 17 देख लेते हैं. तो पहला है नो पॉवर्टी, दूसरा है जीरो हंगर, थर्ड इज गुड हेल्थ एंड वेलबींग, फोर्थ इज क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, फिफ्थ इज ग्लोबल इक्वालिटी, सिक्स्थ इज क्लियर वाटर एंड सैनिटेशन, सातवां है अफोर्डेबल एंड क्लीन एनर्जी, एट्थ इज डिसेंट वर्क एंड इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, नौवां है इंडस्ट्री इनोवेशन एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, टेंथ इज रिड्यूस्ड इनइक्वालिटीज, 11th इज सस्टेनेबल सिटीज एंड कम्युनिटीज, 12th इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल कंजम्पशन एंड प्रोडक्शन, 13वां है क्लीन क्लाइमेट एक्शन, 14th इज लाइफ बिलो वाटर, 15वां है लाइफ ऑन लैंड, 16वां पीस एंड जस्टिस, स्ट्रॉन्ग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, स्ट्रॉन्ग इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड 17th लास्ट इज परमानेंट पार्टनरशिप फॉर द गोल्स. अगला टॉपिक है इंटरनल डिस्प्लेसमेंट। द नंबर ऑफ internally displaced people IDPs around the world reached 71 million as of the end of 2022 according to the recently published Global Report on Internal Replacement 2023. Global Report on Internal Replacement 2023. It is released by the Norwegian Refugee Council Internal Displacement Monitoring Center IDMC. Internal displacement refers to people forced to move inside their own border, and the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center's report does not take into account those who left for different countries. Highlight of the 2023 report. The number of initially displaced people IDPs around the world reached 71.1 million as of the end of 2022, an increase of 20% from previous year. The conflict in Ukraine triggered nearly 17 million displacements. 32.6 million people were displaced due to disaster, an increase of 40% from 2021, largely the result of the efforts of La Nina, which continued for a third consecutive year. Of the total disaster displacement, 98% were triggered by weather-related events like floods and storms. Total IDPs in India includes 6.31 lakh from conflict and violence, while 32,000 due to disaster. India recorded the fourth largest disaster displacement with 2.5 million displacement. Pakistan has the highest number of disaster displacement in the world in 2022 at 8.16 million. Next topic is circular migration. Circular migration, also known as repeat migration, is the temporary and usually repetitive movement of migrants workers between home and the host areas, typically for the purpose of employment. It represents an established pattern of population mobility, whether cross country or rural urban. Various measures taken by the government of India for the welfare of the migrants. Code on Social Security. The code provides certain benefit for interstate migrant workers such as insurance and provident fund. One nation, one ration card. It has given household benefiting for the public distribution system PDS more choice and flexibility to choose with fair price shop FPS that can get their ration from. Draft National Policy on Migrant Workers by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog's draft National Migrant Policy takes a right-based approach and discusses the importance of collective action to help migrants bargain for better conditions. Remote voting. The Election Commission plans to pilot a multi-constitutionally remote electronic voting machine (RVM) to facilitate the participation of domestic migrants from their remote location for voting for their home constituencies. Relief measure during the COVID-19. Sharam portal for creating a database of migrant worker. Distribution of food under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Affordable Rental Housing Complex ARHCs scheme aimed to provide housing at an affordable rate to migrants near their workplace. Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan GKRA provides employment to returnee migrants affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in 16 selected districts across 6 states. Next topic is consensus and NPR. The first synchronous consensus was taken under British rule in 1881 by W.C. Plowden. Consensus Commission of India. Every 10 year, it is conducted by the Office of Registrar General and Consensus Commissioner of India, Ministry of Home Affairs. The 2021 consensus has been postponed indefinitely and is expected to take place after general election in 2024. It was the first digital consensus giving citizens an opportunity to self-enumerate. Population consensus is listed in Union Territories, Entry 69 of 7th Schedule in Indian Constitution. It is conducted under the provision of Consensus Act 1948. The National Population Register (NPR) is a record of usual residents of the country. It is mandatory for every usual resident of India to register in the NPR. It is also prepared by the Office of Registrar General of India (RGI) under the Home Ministry. Its objective is to have a comprehensive identity database of people residing in the country. It was first collected in 2010 and then upgraded in 2015. Next topic is United Nations Population Fund. The UN Population Fund UNFPA has released the State of World Population Report 2023. As per the report, India is set to overtake China to become the world's most populous country of the middle by the middle of 23. UN Population Fund UNFPA. United Nations Population Fund UNFPA is trust fund under the jurisdiction of United Nations Development Program UNDP. UNFPA was formerly 1969 to 1987 known as United Nations Fund for Population Activities. Established in 1969, the UNFPA is the largest international source of assistance for population program. It is the leading UN organization for the implementation of the 1994 Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development. In other words, UNFPA is the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency. Its mission is to deliver a world where every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. State of World Population Report. The State of World Population Report is an annual publication released by United Nations Population Fund UNFPA. It provides an analysis of the world population and its various aspects such as health, education, human rights, and economic development. Here, population 15 to 64 years, 65 plus, TFR life expectancy. इंडिया का है इसमें 1428.6 मिलियन, which is 68% between 15 to 64 years and 7% between 65 plus. TFR is 2 and life expectancy is 72.5 years. चाइना का है 1425.7 million. 15 to 60% is 69% and 65 plus is 14%. TFR is 1.2 and life expectancy is 79 years. ओवरऑल वर्ल्ड का है 8045 मिलियन. 15 to 65 ईयर का है 65% और 65 प्लस है 10%. TFR is 2.3 and life expectancy is 73.5 years. This report is published by UNFPA's State World Population Report 2023. Next is Aadhaar. Aadhaar, a 12-digit numerical identification card, is the world's largest digital ID program. It enables access to public and private service. It also serves as proof of identity and proof of address for residents of India. The Aadhaar program was launched in 2009 by the UIDAI. It serves as a proof of identity which is linked to the individual's biometric and demographic information. UIDAI, it is a statutory body established under the Aadhaar Targeted Delivery of Financial and Other Subsidies, Benefits and Services Act 2016. It issues Aadhaar number 12-digit identification number to each individual. As of July 2023, 765.30 million Indians have linked Aadhaar with ration card to avail ration through Public Distribution System PDS. Almost 100% of farmer benefits under PM Kisan Yojana are connected by Aadhaar. Next is Agnipath scheme and Agniveer. Agnipath is the scheme under which forces, Army, Navy and the Indian Air Force will recruit soldiers for short term and long term on an all India all class basis for the 4-year contract, including 6 months of training. Those recruits under this scheme are called Agniveer. At the end of 4 years, up to 25% of recruits will join the service on a regular basis, subject to merit and organizational requirements. For other, they will receive around 11.71 lakh with interest, and this will be exempt from the income tax. Comparison with a regular soldier. Salary for a regular soldier, it is around 40,000, while for the Agniveer it is 30,000. Eligibility for pension. A soldier employed on regular service will draw a pension post-retirement, while an Agniveer will not. Battle casualty. The family of regular soldier get a liberalized family pension which is equal to last pay draw for life. For Agniveer, the family will get only a non-contributory insurance sum. Gratuity. It is not available for Agniveer. Prison death in India.
In a recent report of the Supreme Court Committee on Prison Reform, suicide was found to be the leading cause of unnatural death other than aging or illness among Indian prisoners. In 2021, a total of 2,116 prisoners died in judicial custody, and with around 90% of cases recorded as natural death. Uttar Pradesh recorded the highest number of overall deaths. Since 1993, the National Human Rights Commission has to be intimated within 24 hours of occurrence of any casual death. Supreme Court in R.D. Upadhyay versus State of Andhra Pradesh 1996 has noted that prisoners suffer from a double handicap regarding health. They do not enjoy the access of medical expertise and because of their living condition they are exposed to more health hazard. The Model Prison Manual of 2016 and Mental Health Act 2017 outline the inmates' right to health care. Justice Amitava Roy Committee has recommended measures to reduce violence amongst prisoners, speedy trial, and for prevention of suicide in prison. Next topic is 75th anniversary of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. December 10, 2023 marked the 75th anniversary of Universal Declaration of Human Rights UDHR. On 10 December 1948, the UN General Assembly approved the Universal Declaration of Human Rights at a meeting in Paris. It was a response to the atrocities of World War II and an effort to establish a common understanding of the basic rights and freedom to which all people are entitled. According to the UN, human rights are inherent to all people, regardless of their race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other. Human rights include right to life and liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, right to work and education, etc. It is not a legally binding treaty, but it has served as a source of inspiration for the development of international human rights law. The UDHR consists of a preamble and 30 articles that articulate a broad range of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. The declaration says that all are equal before the law and that everyone is entitled to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal. And it says that everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. एंड दैट्स इट. तो हमारा ये टॉपिक खत्म हुआ. अगला वीडियो में हम लोग पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस से शुरू करेंगे, जो कि काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. तो आप लोग हमारे साथ वीडियो में बने रहें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें. अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं, प्लेलिस्ट पे जाकर चेक करें. अगर आप लोगों ने पहले के वीडियोस नहीं देखे तो प्लेलिस्ट में पूरा का पूरा लिंक दिया हुआ है, आप लोग जाइए उसे चेक कीजिए और हमारे साथ बने रहिए. वीडियो को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें उन लोगों तक जो इस बार का UPSC CSE 2024 देने वाले हैं. उन तक इस वीडियो को जरूर पहुँचाएं ताकि उनका रिवीजन अच्छे से हो सके और वह भी करंट अफेयर में काफ़ी अपने आप को मतलब अच्छा महसूस कर सके, क्योंकि करंट अफेयर का काफ़ी बड़ा सेक्शन होता है. तो हम बिल्कुल भी नहीं चाहेंगे किसी का करंट अफेयर की वजह से कोई क्वेश्चन छूट जाए. तो मिलते हैं आपसे अगले वीडियो लेक्चर में. तब तक रिवाइज करें, देखते रहें और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें. जय हिंद, जय भारत. जय हिंद दोस्तों, वेलकम बैक टू आवर चैनल, जहाँ पे हम लोग बाजीराम एंड रवि का प्रीलिम्स क्विक रिवीजन कर रहे हैं जो 2024 का है. यह पार्ट 1 है, मई से लेकर दिसंबर 2023 तक का. और आप लोग को डेट पता ही होगा, 26 मई 2024 को प्रीलिम्स का एग्ज़ाम होने वाला है. तो हम लोगों ने कई सारे टॉपिक्स पीछे कर लिया था और आज हम लोग यहाँ पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस से शुरू करने वाले हैं. तो आपसे बस ये अनुरोध है कि अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं और अभी तक हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ 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 इसे सब्सक्राइब करके हमें सपोर्ट करें और हमारे साथ जुड़े रहें, ताकि हम जब भी डेली करंट अफेयर का वीडियो आप लोग तक पहुँचाएँ तो आप लोग तक इसे आसानी से पहुँचने में मदद हो सके. कमेंट बॉक्स में हमें जरूर बताएंगे आपको हमारी यह पहल कैसी लग रही है और आप इससे कितने लाभान्वित हो रहे हैं. वीडियो को लाइक करें और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें उन लोगों तक जो इस बार के प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम देने वाले हैं. उन लोगों तक इसे जरूर पहुँचाएं ताकि आप और आपके दोस्त सभी को इसका लाभ मिल सके. तो आइए शुरू करते हैं. आज हमारा टॉपिक यहाँ से शुरू होने वाला है. हियर वी आर, पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस, जिसमें पहला है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन और इसका पहला टॉपिक होगा आर्टिकल 370. तो आर्टिकल 370 प्रोवाइडेड स्पेशल स्टेटस टू J&K by permitting it to form its own constitution, flag and administrative autonomy. It restricted parliament's legislative power as the approval of the state government was required before applying law in the state, except the one related to defense, foreign affairs, finance and communication, temporary या permanent. Article 370 listed under the temporary, transitional and special provision in Part 21 of the Constitution could be interpreted as temporary due to Jammu and Kashmir Constituent Assembly's right to modify, delete, or retain it. However, the Supreme Court in 2018 ruled that despite the use of term temporary, Article 370 is not temporary. The Supreme Court's decision in Sampath Prakash versus State of Jammu and Kashmir 1969 affirmed that Article 370 is permanent provision. How is what scrapped? Under the power, using the power under Article 356, Clause 1, Subclause B, the President declared that the power of the legislature of the state shall be exercisable by or under the authority of Parliament. President issued a presidential order under Article 370, Clause 1 of Constitution. The order amended Article 367, which contained guidance on how to read, interpret some provision. The amendmented article declares the expansion Constitutional Assembly of the state in Article 370, Clause 3 shall be read the mean legislative assembly of the state. Article 370, Clause 3 provided that the Article 370 was to be amended by the concurrence of the Constituent Assembly. However, because of the amendment, it can now be done away by a recommendation of the state legislature. In other words, the government used the power Article 370, Clause 1 to amend provision of Article 367, which then amended the Article 370, Clause 3. Changes after abolition of Article 370. Jammu and Kashmir would no longer maintain its distinct constitution, flag, or anthem. The resident of Jammu and Kashmir would no longer possess dual citizenship. Since the newly formed Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will be governed by the Indian Constitution, its citizens now enjoy the fundamental rights granted by the Indian Constitution. Article 360, which allows for the declaration of the financial emergency, would also be applicable. All laws enacted by Parliament include the Right to Information Act and the Right to Education Act would be enforceable in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, even if a woman of Jammu and Kashmir marries a temporary resident, she would get the right to property. Earlier, women who given property rights on marrying a temporary resident, but in this way, women's children were deprived of property rights. Any citizen of the country outside the state now can get a job in Jammu and Kashmir. With the conduct of election of Panchayati Raj institution, the three-tier system of grassroots level democracy has now been established in Jammu and Kashmir. Organized stone pelting incident have come down from 1,767 in 2018 to 0 in 2023. Bunch and Hartal have become a distinct memory. Supreme Court upholds abolition of 370. A 5-judge constitution bench led by the Chief Justice of India (CJI) upheld the abolition of Article 370 through a presidential order in 2019 and led to the reorganization of the state of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories, that is Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and denuded it of its special privileges. Judgment on the key issue, whether Article 370 was temporary or permanent. The court held that Article 370 was always meant to be a temporary feature as it was intended as an interim arrangement until the Constituent Assembly of the state was formed after the enactment of Jammu and Kashmir Constitution and the state was abolished as a part of India. This agreement was not necessary. It was adopted because of the special circumstances in the state as it was experiencing war condition. Legality or abolition of Article 370. Processes of abolition. Abrogation. It was abrogated through two Constitutional Order 272. It amended Article 367 and added a new meaning, that is, the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir now meant Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, and Constituent Order 273. It meant at seeking parliamentary consent, which had assumed power of Jammu and Kashmir legislature to recommend that all clauses of Article 370 should cease to be operated. Court's opinion. It held that there was no need to change the meaning of Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir after the Constituent Assembly of the state was dissolved. Its power to make recommendation also ceased to exist, and the President could have always unilaterally abrogated Article 370. Status of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. The court held that the Constitution of India is a complete code of constitutional governance, and following its application in its entirety of the state of Jammu and Kashmir by Constitutional Order 273. The Constitution of the state of Jammu and Kashmir is inoperative and is declared to have become redundant. Uniform Civil Code. The 22nd Law Commission of India sought the view of religious organization and the public on the issue of Uniform Civil Code UCC. In India, Goa is the only state where all religions have a common law regarding marriage, divorce, and adoption. Article 44 DPSP of the Constitution lay down that the state shall endeavor to secure a UCC for citizens throughout the territory of India. DPSPs are not enforceable by court but are supposed to inform and guide governance. Next topic is process to rename a state. The Constitution of India gave the Parliament power to alter the name of a state under Article 3 of Constitution, which explicitly lay down a procedure to alter the area, boundary, name, or formation of a new state. Proposal to rename a state. It can be initiated either by state government or by parliament. For initiating the proposal in the parliament, prior recommendation of president is required. The state legislature sends a proposal in the form of a resolution to the central government. If the state government sends the proposal for changing the name to the center, then the Ministry of Home Affairs (MHA) takes over and gives it consent only after receiving no objection certificate (NOCs) from various departments like Ministry of Railway, Intelligence Bureau, Department of Post, Survey of India, Registrar General of India. Once the state receives a green nod from the MHA, the resolution is then presented to Parliament in the form of a bill. Procedure to rename a state. The bill is referred to the President to the state legislature being affected by the bill for expressing their views on the bill with a specific time. The procedure of sending the bill to the state legislature was not a part of original constitution and was added only through 5th Amendment Act 1955. The view of the state legislature is not enforceable against the president or the parliament. The parliament can dismiss the suggestion given by the state legislature if it wished. After receiving the suggestion of the state legislature or at the end of the prescribed time, the bill returned to parliament when it gets further deliberated upon. Finally, the bill is sent to the president for his assent. Once it receives the president's assent, the bill becomes act and the name of the state is changed thereafter. Next topic is right to silence या right against self incrimination. Context क्या है तो Supreme Court has ruled that all accused have a right to silence and investigators cannot enforce them to speak upon or admit guilty. Article 20 Clause 3 in Part 3 Fundamental Rights of Indian Constitution says no person accused of any offence shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. The right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty and the right to remain silent is an interrogation essentially follow from this constitutionally granted right against self-incrimination. This right also ensures that police cannot coerce anyone to confess to a crime and obtain a conviction based on that confession. In Nandini Satpathy versus P.L. Dani case, Supreme Court ruled that conquering a person to answer a question within the limits of the police station may result in a violation of Article 20 Clause 3. In the state of Bombay versus Kathi Kallu or Hard case, Supreme Court ruled that obtaining photographs, fingerprints, signature and thumb impression would not violate the right against self-incrimination of an accused. In Ritesh Sinha versus State of Uttar Pradesh, broadened the parameter of handwriting sample to include voice samples. Supreme Court held that would not violate the right against self-incrimination. Right to silence is limited only to criminal cases. It is not available if a person being interrogated under Customs Act 1962 or Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. Next topic is Women Reservation Act 106th Constitutional Amendment Act. The historic Women Reservation Bill 2023 Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam 2023 was passed by the Parliament in recently concluded special session. Provision: it will allow 33% seat of Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly and State Legislative Assembly of National Capital Territory of Delhi to be reserved explicitly for women. For this purpose, the Act introduced the following article in the Constitution. Article 330A for reservation of seats for women in Lok Sabha. Article 332A for reservation of seat for women in state legislative assembly. Article 239A clause BA for reservation of seats for women in legislative assembly of Delhi. Article 334A include a sunset provision that would gradually end this affirmative action policy after 15 years. Commencement of reservation. The bill states that its provision will come into effect only after the delimitation exercise has been conducted based on the figure obtained from the consensus completed and published after the commencement of the act. Seat rotation. Rotation of seats reserved will be done after each delimitation exercise. In 2006, Bihar became the first state to provide 50% reservation of women in panchayat bodies. At present, more than 20 states have 50% reservation for women at the panchayat level. Previous attempts, though through 81st Constitutional Amendment Bill in Lok Sabha in 1996, the bill failed to get the approval of the House and lapsed with the dissolution of Lok Sabha. It was introduced again by the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government in 1998, but it lapsed as the government fell in 1999. It was reintroduced in 1999, 2000, 2002 and 2003, but every time it failed to get passed. The Constitution 108th Amendment Bill 2008 in Rajya Sabha in 2010 was another attempt. The Rajya Sabha passed the bill, but Lok Sabha didn't take it up for voting and ultimately it lapsed with the dissolution of 5th Lok Sabha. Next topic is Haryana's private sector quota struck down by High Court. The Punjab and Haryana High Court quashed the Haryana State Employment of Local Candidates Act 2020 that provided 75% reservation in private job to a state resident. Constitutional articles cited in the judgment. It violated Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause E, which guarantees the right to reside and settle in any part of Indian territory, and Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause G guaranteed the right to practice any profession, business or trade. It infringes Article 40 Equality before the law and Article 15 Prohibition of discrimination on ground of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. Next topic, Section 6A of Citizenship Act 1955. Recently, the Supreme Court asked the central government to submit details of the number of immigrants who were conferred into Indian citizenship through Section 6A of Citizenship Act 1955. About Section 6A of the Citizenship Act 1971, introduced to give effect to Assam Accord. It is a special provision for Assam which classified immigrants from Bangladesh or East Pakistan into Assam in 3 categories. Pahla, those who entered before 1st January 1966 were deemed to be citizens of India. Second, those who entered after 1 January 1966 and before 25 March 1971 were categorized as foreigner and were required to register themselves for citizen to be granted after 10 years. Such persons were given the same right and obligation as a citizen except the right to vote. Third is those who entered after 25th March 1971 were deemed illegal immigrants. The Assam Accord. तो Assam Accord क्या है देख लेते हैं. तो it was a memorandum of settlement MOS signed in 1985 between the Union government under Rajiv Gandhi and leadership of the Assam movement that brought to an end the Assam movement provisions. As per the accord, the Indian government agreed to secure the international border of the country against future infiltration by first erecting physical barrier like walls, barbed wire, fencing and other obstacle to appropriate places, deploy a patrol by security forces on land and river route all along the international Bangladesh-India border. तो व्हाट इज फॉरेन ट्रिब्यूनल्स FTs क्या है तो उसके बारे में देख लेते हैं. फॉरेन ट्रिब्यूनल्स FTs आर क्वासी जुडिशियल बॉडी दैट डिटरमाइन वेदर ए पर्सन इज और इज नॉट अ फॉरेनर अंडर फॉरेनर्स एक्ट 1946. They were first stepped up in 1964 and are unique to Assam. Under the provision of Foreigner Act 1946 and Foreigner Tribunal Order 1964, only Foreigners Tribunal are empowered to declare a person as a foreigner. Any person not listed in the conclusive National Register of Citizenship NRC has the opportunity to present their case before the appellate authority, namely the Foreigner Tribunal (FT). In 2019, the MHA amended the Foreigner Tribunal Order 1964 and empowered district magistrates in all states and UTs to set up tribunals. Previously, the center has had sole authority to constitute tribunals. Next topic is the Gyanvapi case. According to popular legend, the Mughal ruler Aurangzeb built the Gyanvapi Mosque in 1669 by demolishing the ancient Vishweshwar temple in Varanasi. It is worth noting that Aurangzeb ordered Governor Abu Hassan to demolish the temple in 1669 according to Saqib's Khan book Yasir Alamgiri. The mosque is not an ASI protected site and the ASI has no role in its maintenance or upkeep. Extra Mile, the place of worship, a special provision Act 1991. The Act prohibits conversion of any place of worship and provide for the maintenance of the religion character of any place of worship as it existed on 15 August 1947 की प्रोविजन क्या है तो देख लेते हैं. The Act determined place of worship as temple, mosque, gurudwara, church, monastery or any other place of public religious worship. It was judicial review. Prohibition of conversion. The Act bars the conversion of a place of worship of any religious denomination into a place of worship of different religious denomination or even a different segment of the same religious denomination. Maintenance of religious character. The religious character of a place of worship shall continue to be the same as it existed on August 15, 1947, and any suit or legal proceeding with respect to the conversion of any place of worship existing on August 15, 1947, pending before any court shall abate, and no fresh suit or legal proceeding shall be instituted. It exempt the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid case from its ambit and to any suit, appeal or proceeding relating to it. Section 5 also exempt ancient or historical monuments and archaeological sites and remains that are covered by the Ancient Monument and Archaeological Site and Remains Act 1958. Next topic is permitting puja and ritual at protected monument. A parliamentary committee recommended permitting puja and worship at monuments protected by the Archaeological Survey of India ASI that have religious significance. Background क्या है तो in 2022 prayers were held at the ruin of 8th century Martand Sun Temple in Jammu and Kashmir, Anantnag. When the ASI took over the temple ruin in the 20th century for conservation, no puja or Hindu ritual were being held there. About Martand Sun Temple, it is commissioned by the Karkota dynasty king Lalitaditya Muktapida 1725 AD to 1753 AD in 8th century, and it once used to be a thriving place of worship. It was destroyed by Sikandar Shah Miri in 14th century. The present ASI rule. ASI allows prayer at its protected site only if they were functioning place of worship at the time it took charge on them. No religious ritual are allowed at non-living monuments. The non-living monuments are the ones where there have been no continuity of worship when it became an ASI protected site. About Archaeological Survey of India ASI under the Ministry of Culture. ASI is the premier organization for archaeological research and protection of cultural heritage of the nation founded in 1861 by Alexander Cunningham, father of Indian archaeology. It is responsible for maintenance of ancient monuments and archaeological sites and remains of national importance. It regulates all archaeological activities in the country as per the provision of Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Site and Remains Act 1958 and regulates Antiquities and Art Treasure Act 1972. The Ancient Monument and Archaeological Site and Remains Act 1958 provides for the provision of ancient and historical monuments and archaeological sites and remains of national importance. Antiquities Act Antiquities and Art Treasure Act 1972 was enacted to regulate the internal and external dealing in antiquities in India. नेक्स्ट आवर टॉपिक इज लेजिस्लेटर, और उसमें पहला सेक्शन हमारा है न्यू पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग. इंडिया सेलिब्रेटेड द इनाग्रेशन ऑफ इट्स न्यू पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग इन द 75th ईयर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस. ओल्ड पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग. द कैपिटल वॉज शिफ्टेड फ्रॉम कलकत्ता टू दिल्ली इन 1911. आर्किटेक्ट एडविन लुटियन एंड हर्बर्ट बेकर. फाउंडेशन बाई H.R.H. प्रिंस ऑथर द ड्यूक ऑफ Connaught on February 12, 1921. Construction कब हुआ? तो in 1919 the construction was planned and it took 6 years to complete it. The council house composed A. Legislative Assembly Chamber Lok Sabha, B. Council of State Chamber Rajya Sabha and the Chamber of Princes means Library Hall. Architecture कैसा था? तो the circular shape of Parliament inspired by the circular shape of 64 Yoni Temple at Madhya Pradesh, Morena. A few Indian elements such as jalis and chhatris, a dimmed roof atop a pavilion-like structure was added to it. Material used, though it has 144 cream sandstone pillars measuring 27 feet each. Inauguration कब हुआ? तो inaugurated in 1927 by the Governor General of India Lord Irwin. New building and its features. So its construction was announced in 2019 and the project was named as Central Vista Redevelopment Project. The plan includes the construction of new parliament residence of Prime Minister and Vice President along with 10 building blocks to accommodate all government ministries and departments. It was piloted by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Build up area क्या है? तो build alongside the old building and has a build up area of 65,000 square. It is designed in triangular shape. Seating capacity क्या है? तो it has larger Lok Sabha hall based on peacock theme and Rajya Sabha hall based on lotus theme with a capacity of up to 888 seats and 384 seats respectively. The Lok Sabha may accommodate up to 1272 seats for joint parliamentary session. Each seat will be equipped with digital system and touch screens. Constitutional halls. It consists of a constitutional hall where the journey of Indian democracy has been documented. Office से क्या? तो there will be 92 rooms for the use of Council of Minister as offices. There will be also 6 large committee room and large audio visual equipments. Environment friendly क्या है? तो the platinum rated green building embodies India's commitment toward environmental sustainability. It features rainwater harvesting and water cycle system. Divyang friendly. It will be Divyang friendly as people with disabilities will be able to move around freely. Facilities for MPs. A central lounge will be complement the open country yard with a banyan tree. Will be a place for members to interact with each other. There will be a dining hall and library. Earthquake safe. The building is earthquake safe. Material from across the India. For construction, sandstone were brought from Sarmathura in Dholpur and granite from Lakh village in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan. Similarly, the wood used in the decor is from Nagpur and craftsmen from Mumbai had led to the wooden architectural design. Badholi beaver from Uttar Pradesh have made the traditional hand-knocked carpet for the building. Gandhi statue. The 12-foot tall bronze statue of Mahatma Gandhi made by Padma Bhushan awardee sculptor Ram V. Sutar, who built a Statue of Unity, will remain on the lawn between old and new building. National symbols. The building is replete with national symbol including the national emblem, the lion capital of Ashoka, that weight 9,500 kg and is 6.5 meter in height and is visible from a distance at the entrance. The Ashok Chakra and the word Satyamev Jayate has been carved in stone. Entrance के साथ तो the building has 3 ceremonial entrance in 3 sides of parliament, the vice president, the Lok Sabha and the prime minister. Singol, a golden sceptre. It was given to Jawaharlal Nehru on the eve of independence to mark the transfer of power from the British. It has been placed near the speaker's podium by the Prime Minister. Galleries consisting of A. Shilp exhibiting textile installation from across India along with poetry item made from the mitti of all states, and B is Satyapatya. Satyapatya exhibiting the iconic monuments of India including those from different states, and UT's Andyoda Asan. Andyoga Asan. Foucault Podium. Inside the new Parliament building, there is a Foucault Podium that showcases the rotation of Earth, named after renowned French physicist Leon Foucault. This podium takes precisely 94 hours 59 minutes and 18 seconds to complete a full rotation at the latitude of the Parliament location. Next topic is Ederman. The Supreme Court recently reviewed the case where the Delhi government challenged the Lieutenant Governor appointment of Ederman. Etymology क्या है तो word Ederman comes from the English word old and man. Initially it refers to elder or a clan or tribute, but later evolved to denote the king's viceroy, regardless of age. By the 12th century CE, it began to be associated with municipal government and used to describe officers of municipal bodies. This usage continued to the present day. Delhi case. According to Delhi Municipal Corporation Act of 1957, the administrator, the lieutenant governor, has the authority to nominate 10 individuals to serve in the corporation, each aged 25 or above. Power. They do not have any voting rights in mayoral election but play an important role in standing committee election. MCD in House and Ward Committee meeting. They are a part of group which effectively control the MCD's purse string. Next topic is special session of Parliament. About parliamentary session, Article 58 of Constitution specifies that President must summon each House of the Parliament to meet at least once within 6 months. Borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935. Who planned the session? Cabinet Committee on Parliament Affairs declares the dates and duration of parliamentary session. Once a decision has taken, the committee convey its decision to the President, who then summon the member of Parliament to meet for the session. In any timetable, no fixed timetable, but the convention. Each calendar year consists of 3 sessions. Pehla budget session, the longer one. It usually from January end to April end. It includes a recess for Parliamentary Standing Committee to consider the budget. Next is monsoon session. It began in July and concluded in August. Third one is winter session. In the last session of the year, usually held from November to December. A special session of Parliament. There is no mention of a special session in Constitution or in the rule books of either House of the Parliament. Also, there is no specific guidelines on how or when such a session should be convened. However, Article 352, added through the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, which deal with the proclamation of emergency, refers to a special sitting of the House. A special session is convened by the government for specific occasion like ceremony, parliament or national milestone. Earlier instance, special session have been held in the year 1947, 1962, 1972, 1977, 1991, 1992, 1997, 2008 and 2017 etc. Next our topic is immunities and privileges to MPs and MLAs. Related constitutional provision. Article 105 clause 2, it provided immunity to an MP. Article 19 clause 2 for MLA from any proceeding in any court, from anything said or any vote given by him in Parliament or any committee, or held no person liable for any report, paper, votes or proceeding in a publication or by or under the authority of either House of Parliament. Article 122 and Article 212, the validity of any proceeding in Parliament. Article 212 for a state legislator cannot be called into question in a court on the ground of any alleged irregularity of procedure. प्रोसीजर। टाइप्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्री प्रिविलेज। पहला है इंडिविजुअल प्रिविलेज। These are privileges enjoyed by the MP and MLAs. Some of these are: first, no MP can be arrested 40 days before the beginning and 40 days after the end of parliamentary session. MP have freedom of speech in parliament and not liable to any proceeding in any court. They are exempt from jury service during the session of parliament. And second is collective privilege. These are enjoyed by both House of Indian Parliament and state legislature as a whole, as well as their member and offices. Some of these are: पहला, right to publish its report, debates and proceeding. Second is right to exclude stranger from its proceeding. Third is right to make rules to regulate its own procedure. Fourth is right to punish member as well as outsider for breach of its privileges. Fifth is prohibited court inquiry into the house proceeding. And last is no arrest can be made without the permission of the presiding officer. Next topic is no confidence motion. Article 75 clause 3 of constitution specifies that council of ministers are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. For testing this collective responsibility, the rules of Lok Sabha provide a particular mechanism, a motion of no confidence. The procedure is specified under Rule 198 of the Lok Sabha. The constitution does not mention either a confidence or a no confidence motion. Who can move it? Any Lok Sabha MP who can garner the support of 50 colleagues can at any point of time introduce a motion of no confidence against the Council of Ministers. A no confidence motion can be moved only in Lok Sabha. It cannot be moved in Rajya Sabha. The motion is moved by the member who submitted it, and the government will then respond to the motion. The opposition party will then have the opportunity to speak on the motion. After the debate, the Lok Sabha will vote on the no confidence motion. The motion will be passed if it is supported by majority of the member of the House. If no confidence motion is passed, the government must resign. Earlier instance क्या क्या तो देख लेते. There has been 27 no confidence motion included in Lok Sabha since independence. The first no confidence motion against the administration of the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was presented in the Lok Sabha in August 1963. The motion obtained only 62 votes in favor and 347 votes against it. The last no confidence motion was moved in 2018 against the then NDA government. Next heading is disqualification of lawmakers. Article 102 clause 1 and Article 191 clause 1 provides for disqualification of a member of parliament and a member of legislative assembly respectively on ground like holding office of profit, being unsound mind and not being a citizen of India, etc. Section 8 of RPA 1951. This includes a specific offence such as promoting immunity between two groups, barely, etc. Section 8 clause 2 of RPA 1951 lists offences that deal with holding or profiting or adulteration of food or drugs, and offence under any provision of the Dowry Prohibition Act. Section 8 clause 4 of RPA 1951. A lawmaker is disqualified from the period of imprisonment and a further 6 years if convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years or more. 10th schedule of the Constitution provides for the disqualification of member on ground of defection. Next topic is Ethics Committee in Parliament. The genesis of formation of Ethics Committee in Parliament can be traced to a resolution adopted by the presiding officer conference held in New Delhi in October 1996. Each House of Parliament has its own Ethics Committee. Ethics Committee in Lok Sabha. It was first constituted in 2000. Composition no more than 15 members and nominated by the Speaker. Term there they shall hold office for a term not exceeding a year. Ethics Committee in Rajya Sabha. It was constituted in 1997. Composition क्या था तो it consists 10 members nominated by Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Term क्या है तो they shall hold office for a term not exceeding 1 year. Function क्या है to oversee the moral and ethical conduct of the members. To examine the cases referred to it with reference to ethical and other misconduct of the member. Any person or member may make a complaint relating to unethical conduct of a member of the committee. In the case of ethics committee, only the MP can be examined for misconduct. Money bill. Next topic. About a money bill as defined in Article 110 is a type of legislation that relate to the appropriation of money for the Consolidated Fund of India, which is the main fund of the government. It typically related to financial matters such as taxation, public expenditure, and public debt. It is the Speaker of Lok Sabha who recognizes bill as a money bill. Criteria क्या है दो the imposition, abolition and remission, alteration or regulation of any tax, the regulation of the borrowing of money or the giving of any guarantee by the government of India, the custody of the consolidated fund of the contingent or the contingency fund of India, the payment of money into the withdrawal of money or the withdrawal of money from any such fund, the appropriation of money out of the consolidated fund of India. Next is the declaring of any expenditure to be expenditure charged on the consolidated fund of India or the increasing of the amount of any such expenditure. Next, the reception of money on account of the consolidated fund of India or the public account of India or the custody or issue of such money. Any matter incidental to any matter specific above. नेक्स्ट इज प्रोसीजर फॉर द पैसेज ऑफ मनी बिल. तो इसका प्रोसेस क्या देख लेते हैं. द मनी बिल आर इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन लोकसभा विद द प्रेसिडेंट रिकमेंडेशन एंड कैन ओनली बी इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाय अ मिनिस्टर. द बिल इज पास्ड बाय बोथ हाउसेज एंड सेंट टू राज्यसभा फॉर कंसिडरेशन. द राज्यसभा हैज लिमिटेड पावर एंड मस्ट रिटर्न द बिल विद इन 14 days. The Lok Sabha can accept or reject the Rajya Sabha's recommendation, and if accepted, the bill is considered to have passed in the modified form. The Lok Sabha has more power regarding money bills. The President can give or withhold assent to a money bill but cannot return it for reconsideration. Next is question hour and types of question in Parliament. Question hour क्या है. तो generally the first hour of Parliament meeting is for asking question, but in 2014 the Rajya Sabha changed the question hour to start at 12 noon instead of 11 am. In this hour, member of Parliament MPs ask minister question to hold them accountable for their working in the government department. Apart from members, question can be asked to private member as well. The presiding officer of both houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, are the final authority to respect to conduct of question hour. There is no question hour on Saturday, even if a sitting is fixed for that day. Types of question. तो क्वेश्चन कितने टाइप के होते हैं देखते हैं. पहला है स्टार्ट, दूसरा है अनस्टार्ट, थर्ड इज शॉर्ट नोटिस एंड फोर्थ इज प्राइवेट मेंबर. तो पहला स्टार्ट में देखते हैं. दे आर आंसर्ड ओरली एंड आर डिस्टिंग्विश्ड बाय अ asterisk mark. Supplementary question can follow. They must be submitted at least 15 days in advance. Only 20 questions can be listed in a day. They are printed in green color. Next is unstarred. They require a written answer and are printed in the official report of the sitting of House. No supplementary questions are allowed. They must be submitted at least 15 days in advance. They are printed in white color. Short notice. They relate to a matter of urgent public importance. They can be asked within less than 10 days. 10 days notice along with reasons for the short notice. Supplementary question can follow. They are printed in a light pink color and are taken up after a question hour. And next is private member. A question may be addressed to a private member. They are asked when the subject matter pertains to any bill, resolution or any matter relating to the business of the house for which that MP is responsible. The process followed is the same as in the case of minister. They are printed in yellow color. Our next topic is Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Act 2023. Parliament has passed the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Ordinance 2023 and created a new statutory authority, the National Capital Civil Service Authority NSSCSA. About the act क्या था देख लेते हैं. It seeks to amend the Government of National Capital Territory NCT of Delhi Act 1991 and establish National Capital Civil Service Authority NCCSA, which will be headed by Chief Minister of Delhi with the Chief Secretary and principal Home Secretary of Delhi being the other two members. The NCCA will make recommendation to the Lieutenant Government regarding transfer, posting and vigilance matter of all Group A officer and Dionysus officer post in Delhi. This decision will be based on majority of votes of members present and voting. The final authority to pass order related to this recommendation will lie in the hand of Lieutenant Governor LG. He can also ask for matter relevant to officers before taking a decision. There is no specific provision in the ordinance regarding the transfer, posting, discipline, etc. of Group B and Group C officers, which seems to indicate that the elected government of Delhi would continue to have control over these officers. Article 239 AA Clause 3 Subclause A relates to the specific provision with respect to Delhi. तो ऑर्डिनेंस में क्या क्या देख लेते हैं. तो प्रोक्लेमेशन, आर्टिकल 123 ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विच डील विद द पावर ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट टू promulgate ordinance such that if at any time when at least one of the House of Parliament is not in session, the President can promulgate an ordinance due to unavoidable circumstances that require him to take immediate action. Article 213 deals with the power of the governor of the state to promulgate ordinance during recess of a state legislature. Ordinance has the same focus and effort as an act of parliament, but the government is required to bring an ordinance before parliament for ratification. It lapses at the expiration of 6 weeks from the reassembly of parliament if the government fails to introduce it for ratification. If the president withdraw it, if both the houses of parliament passes resolution disapproving the law, rejection of an ordinance implies the government has lost majority. If an ordinance make a law that parliament is not competent to enact under the constitution, it shall be considered void. The decision to bring an ordinance rests with the Council of Ministers as the parliament act on their aid and advise. The President may return the recommendation to the Cabinet for reconsideration, but if it is sent back with or without reconsideration, the President must promulgate it. Validity क्या है? तो an ordinance is valid for 6 weeks from the date on which the next session start. If the two houses start their sessions on different days, the date of house starting later is considered. Repromulgation. The government can repromulgate an ordinance if it lapses due to any reason. Next is governor cannot keep bill pending indefinitely, जो कि हम अगले सेशन में करेंगे. इस वीडियो सेशन को यहीं पे समाप्त करते हैं. तो उम्मीद है आप लोग को यह वीडियो अच्छा लगा होगा. तो आप लोग कमेंट में हमें जरूर बताएंगे कि आपको हमारी यह पहल कैसी लगी. और अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं और अभी तक हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ इसे सब्सक्राइब करके हमें सपोर्ट करें, क्योंकि इसी से हमें प्रोत्साहन मिलता है और आप इससे भी जब भी कोई नया वीडियो अपलोड होगा तो आपके पास आसानी से नोटिफिकेशन चला जाएगा. तो मिलते हैं आपसे अगले वीडियो लेक्चर में. तब तक के लिए इसे शेयर करें, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पढ़ें और जितना ज़्यादा रिवाइज करें उतना अच्छा होगा. तो मिलते हैं आपसे अगले वीडियो लेक्चर में. जय हिंद, जय भारत. जय हिंद दोस्तों, फिर से आपका स्वागत है हमारे इस वाजीराम एंड रवि प्रीलिम्स क्विक रिवीजन सीरीज़ में, जो कि 2024 का पार्ट 1 मई से लेकर दिसंबर 2023 तक का. और आप लोग को डेट पता ही होगा, 26 मई 2024 प्रीलिम्स का डेट है. तो हम लोग इसे कंटिन्यू कर रहे थे और लोग कंटिन्यू करते करते हम लोगों ने कई सारे टॉपिक्स कर लिए थे और आज यह कंटिन्यू लेक्चर रहेगा. तो अगर आप लोगों ने पहले के लेक्चर्स नहीं देखे हैं तो आप लोग कमेंट बॉक्स में ज़रूर बताएं. और हमने डिस्क्रिप्शन में लिंक दिया हुआ है इसका, तो लिंक पे आप जाके क्लिक करें और पहले का सारे वीडियो लेक्चर्स देखें. तो यह कंटिन्यू सीरीज रहेगा जैसा कि आप लोग जान रहे हैं. तो बस आपसे ये अनुरोध है कि अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं और अभी तक हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ इसे सब्सक्राइब करके हमें सपोर्ट करें, क्योंकि आपके सपोर्ट की हमें बहुत आवश्यकता पड़ती है. और इससे जब भी हम कोई नया वीडियो अपलोड करेंगे तो आप तक इसका नोटिफिकेशन बहुत आसानी से पहुंच जाएगा और आप इससे देख सकेंगे. आपसे बस यही है कि इसे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें उन लोगों तक जो करंट अफेयर की तैयारी कर रहे हैं और जिनका करंट अफेयर में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है, तो उन तक इस वीडियो को जरूर पहुंचा ताकि वो भी अपने यूपीएससी एग्जाम से पहले अपनी करंट अफेयर की अच्छी खासी तैयारी कर ले. यहाँ से हम लोग आज शुरू हो आज का टॉपिक गवर्नर्स कैन नॉट कीप बिल पेंडिंग इन्फिनिटी. तो शुरू करते हैं। बस ये अनुरोध है कि अगर आप लोग हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें, कमेंट बॉक्स में जरूर बताएं आपको हमारी यहाँ पहल कैसे लगी, और लाइक करना ना भूलें। आइए शुरू करते हैं। गवर्नर कैन नॉट कीप बिल पेंडिंग इनफाइनाइटली। कंटेक्स्ट क्या है? तो द सुप्रीम कोर्ट recently ruled that governors are not empowered to keep a bill pending infinitely without any action whatsoever. The court also stated that governors are entrusted with constitutional power but cannot use them to stop the normal proceeding of lawmaking by state legislature. Governor's legislative power क्या है? तो ये देखते हैं। आर्टिकल 200 states that when a bill passed by the state legislature is presented to the governor for their assent, they have 4 options: grant assent to the bill, या withhold assent to the bill, or return the bill for recommendation, or reserve the bill for consolidation of the president. Is there any time limit within which a bill should be returned? The article states that governor may as soon as possible return bill other than money bills, requesting the House to reconsider it in part or in whole. But if the state legislature send the bill again, with or without any amendment, the governor is bound to give his assent to the bill. The court's judgment states that the expansion as soon as possible conveys a constitutional imperative of expedition. It also states that keeping bill pending for indetermined period is consistent with that expression. What can a governor reserve? When can a governor reserve a bill? The governor can reserve certain bill for the consolidation of president if, first, against previous ruling of SC or it reduces the power of High Court. Second, against the provision of Constitution opposed to the directive principle of state policy DPSP. Third है against the larger interest of country or the grave national importance. Fourth is deals with the contemporary execution of property under Article 31A of the Constitution. Our next topic is Model Prison Act. The Ministry of Home Affairs MHA announced that it has finalized the preparation of the Model Prisons Act 2023. The act will replace the current 130-year-old law, that is Prison Act 1894. As per the provision of the Constitution, prisons and persons detained therein fall under the state list. Hence, the responsibility of prison management and administration solely rests with the state government, which alone is competent to make appropriate legislative provision in this regard. The Ministry of Home Affairs has clarified with announcing the 2023 Act that it may serve as a guiding document for the state as that they may benefit for its adaptation in their jurisdiction. Prisons Act 1894 क्या था वो देख लेते हैं। तो it defines prison and demarcates prisoners in 3 different categories according to the nature of their crime. These categories were criminal prisoners, convicted criminal prisons, and civil prisoners. It deals with provisions for accommodation, food, clothing, bedding session, and the discipline of prisons, including solitary confinement. It also laid down provision for the prisoners' employment, health, and visits. However, the Act has no provisions for reformation or rehabilitation. The Act permitted wiping provided that the number of stripes should not exceed 30, allowed for only male prisons. Our next topic is Official Secretariat Act. Historical evolution क्या है? तो OSA was first enacted as the Indian Official Secretariat Act at Act 14th 1889 to muzzle the voice of nationalist publication. It was amended and a more stringent version of the act came into being in 1904 when Lord Curzon was the Viceroy of India. A new version was notified in 1923 as the Indian Official Secretariat Act, which extended to all the matters of secretary and confidentiality in governance in the country. Next is provisions. Section 3 of the Act talk about the secret information, defines spying, espionage, and states that spying will be punishable for 14 years if the crime has been committed in any office or establishment of the defined forces and for 3 years in another case. Section 5 of the Act talk about the disclosure of secret information and state that disclosures shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years or within fine or with both. Section 6 of the Act talk about unauthorized use of uniform falsification of report, forgery, personation, and false document. Classification. OSA does not mention any criteria for classifying a document as secret. The Ministry of Home Affairs issues departmental secretary instruction based on which official documents are classified into 5 categories depending on the level of sensitivity of the information. RTI versus OSA. Section 22 of RTI 2005 states that it will have an overriding effect over the laws including the OSA. However, under Section 8 and 9 of the RTI Act, the government can refuse information effectively if the government classifies a document as secret. Under OSA Clause 6, the document can be kept outside the ambit of RTI Act and the government can invoke Section 8 or 9. Section 8 Clause 2 of the RTI Act states that access to information labeled as secret under the OSA can be provided if public interest in disclosure outweighed the harm to the protected interest. Next topic, PC and PNDT Act. The Act provides sex selection before or after conception, regulates prenatal diagnostic technique for detecting genetic abnormalities, metabolic disorder, chronological abnormalities, congenital malfunction, and sex-linked disclosure, and prevent misuse for female foeticide. It was first enacted in 1994 as Parental Diagnostic Technique Act, but after undergoing various amendments, it finally became Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Technique Regulation and Prevention of Misuse PCPNDT Act in 2004. ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था? तो रिस्ट्रिक्टिंग प्री बर्थ सेक्स
assurance and to save the girl child. Provision. Prenatal diagnostic techniques are not only allowed in registered genetic clinic for detecting fetal abnormalities if the woman is over 35, has experienced multiple miscarriage, or has a family history of genetic disease. Written consent is required before an ultrasound, and the person conducting the ultrasound and others are prohibited from revealing the fetus gender. The Act established a central supervisory board too. The central government is advised on policy matters concerning prenatal diagnostic and sex selection technique and against misuse. The Act is reviewed and monitored, and public awareness is created against preconception, sex selection, and fetus sex determination leading to female foeticide. A code of conduct is laid down for genetic counseling center, laboratories, and clinics. The Act also requires a 3-member appropriate authority at the state UT level within 3 months of its implications. Members क्या हैं? तो an official of or above the rank of Joint Director of Health and Family Welfare Chairperson, an eminent woman representing women organization, an officer of law department. फंक्शन क्या है इसका? तो टू ग्रांट सस्पेंड or cancel registration of a genetic clinic or a lab, to enforce a standard prescribed for genetic clinic and lab, to investigate complaints of branch of the provision of this act and take immediate action, to seek and consider the advice of the advisory committee. Power क्या है? तो summon any power in possession of any information relating to violation of the provision of the act, product of any document or material object, issuing search warrant for any place suspended to be indulging in prenatal sex determination. Offense and penalties. Every offense under this act can be recognized non-bailable and non-compoundable. Advertisement related to prenatal sex determination is prohibited and punishable with imprisonment up to 3 years and a fine up to 10,000 rupees. Any registered medical practitioner violating this act can face imprisonment up to 3 years and a fine up to 10,000 rupees. For subsequent convictions, imprisonment and extend to 5 years and a fine up to 50,000 rupee. The medical practitioner registration can be suspended for 5 years for the first offence and permanently for subsequent offences. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. This act was aimed at making anti-corruption law more effective by widening their convergence and strengthening their provision. Features क्या है तो it is an amalgamation of provision of Corruption Act PCN 1947, the Law Amendment Act 1952 and Section 161 to 165A of the Indian Penal Code, which contain tweaks in the original provision. It has shifted the burden of proof from the prosecution as mentioned in the CRPC to accused who is charged with the offence. It mandated the investigation to be made by an officer not below the rank of Deputy Superintendent of Police. It covers act as bribe, misappropriation, obtaining a pecuniary advantage, possessing assets disproportionate to income and the like. 2018 Amendment. The Act was amended in 2018 to bring the PCA in link with United Nations Convention Against Corruption 2005, which was ratified by India in 2011. For this purpose, the amendment provided for attachment and administration of property procured by means of an offence under the PCA and increased the minimum imprisonment term from 6 months to 3 years. Right to Person with Disabilities Act 2016. Disability in India. In India, over 2.2% of the total population endures some form of several mental or psychological disabilities. Conceptually, since the condition of disability is rather transient than static, there is no one universal definition of what comprises a disability or who is considered disabled. In India, the list of criteria that categorizes people as disabled was revamped in 2016 and come into effect with the Right of People with Disability Act. Salient feature of Right of Person with Disability Act 2016. It comes into force to give effect to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities (UNCRPD). The Act has categorized person with disability into three: person with benchmark disability, person with disability, and person with disability having high support needs. The Act increases type of disability from 7 to 21 type, and the central government has the power to add more to the list. These 21 types of disability includes blindness, low vision, leprosy cured person, hearing impairment, deaf and hard of hearing, locomotor disability, dwarfism, intellectual disability, mental illness, etc. The Act has increased the quantum of reservation for people suffering from disability from 3% to 4% in government jobs and from 3 to 5% in higher education institutes. Every children with benchmark disability between the age group of 6 to 18 years shall have the right to free education. A separate national and state fund be created to provide financial support to the person with disabilities. National Policy for PWD 2006. The existing national policy for persons with disability was adopted in 2006. Implementing agency क्या है तो Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. The policy seeks to recognize the PWDs are valuable human resource for the country and seeks to create an environment that provides them equal opportunity, protection of their rights and full participation in society. POSH Act. Context: a government committee led by MC Mary Kom had discovered that over half of India's 30 national sports federation lack of internal complaint committee, a legal requirement under the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act 2013. Genesis of POSH Act in 1997. The Supreme Court acknowledged the lack of law
ensuring against sexual harassment in workplace, establishing the Viksha guidelines to fill the statutory gap until a law could be enacted. The code guidelines are based on Article 15 of the Indian Constitution and international conventions, including the General Recommendation of Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The POSH bill, the Women and Child Development Ministry introduced it in 2007 and amended it, which came into effect on December 9, 2013 after being enacted by Parliament. की प्रोविजंस ऑफ पॉश एक्ट क्या है तो देख लेते हैं. डिफाइन सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट. Unwelcome act including physical, verbal and non-verbal conduct such as request from sexual favor, making sexually colored remark and showing pornography etc. List down 5 criticism that would continue sexual harassment. This include implied or explicit promises of preferential treatment in employment, threats of detrimental treatment, threats about employment status, interference with work, creating any intimidating or hostile environment, and humiliating treatment like to affect health or safety. Defines an employee. All women employees, whether employed regularly, temporarily, contractually, or an ad hoc or daily wage basis, as apprentice or intern, can seek redressal to sexual harassment in the workplace. Expands the definition of workplace beyond traditional offices to include all kind of organization across sectors, even non-traditional workplace, for example tetracommuting and places visited by employees for work. Applicability क्या है तो this include all public and private establishment in India that engage in commercial, vocational, educational, entertainment, industrial or financial activities, both organized and unorganized sectors and non-governmental organization. इंटरनल कंप्लेंट कमेटी ICC एंड लोकल कमिटीज़, तो वो क्या देख लेते हैं. द लॉ रिक्वायर्स आर एम्प्लॉय विथ मोर देन 10 employers to form an ICC where a formal sexual harassment complaint can be filed by a woman. ICC has powers similar to those of a civil court in respect of summoning and examining any person on oath and requiring the discovery and production of document. Composition of ICC. It is required to consist a minimum of 4 members, at least half of whom should be women. A presiding officer who has to be a woman employed at a senior level at the workplace. 2 members from against employees and who have the experience in social work or have legal knowledge. 1 external member from NGO to preempt any undue pressure from senior level. The MOWCD introduced in 2017 an online platform CBox that directs complaint to employer or organizations ICC. Besides, the act mandates every district in the country to create a LC to receive complaint from women working in firm less than 10 employees and from the informal sector including domestic work etc. Role of ICC and LCs. Those two bodies have to conduct inquiries in line with the POSH Act and comply with the principle of natural justice stated in the rules of the Act. There are 2 ways to resolve the issue by the committee. पहला है through conciliation between the complaint and the respondent, which cannot be a final settlement, or committee could initiate any inquiry taking appropriate action based on what it finds. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज डिजिटल पर्सन डाटा प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 2023. बैकग्राउंड इसका क्या है तो इट इज़ द SK पुट्टास्वामी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया केस इन 2017 in Supreme Court upheld privacy as a fundamental right. Following this, the Persons Data Protection PDP bill first draft was suggested in 2018 by the Justice Sri Krishna Committee. The committee was revised by the government and was introduced as PDP bill in 2019. Later, the bill was withdrawn.
तो इसका एप्लीकेबिलिटी क्या है? तो द बिल will apply to the processing of digital personal data within India. It will also apply to the processing of personal data outside India if it is for offering goods or services or profiling individual in India. Consent क्या है? तो पर्सनल डाटा कैन ओनली बी प्रोसीजर्ड बाई लॉफुल पर्पसेस एंड कंसेंट एंड अ नोटिस मस्ट बी गिवन detailing the purpose and data collection. Consent can be withdrawn at any time, and for individual under 18, legal guidelines provide consent right and duties of data principal. The data principal has the right to access processing information, request correction and ensure of personal data and nominate another person to exercise right in case of death or incapacity. Transfer of personal data outside India. The central government will inform countries where a data feudatory can transfer personal data, with this transfer being subject to a specific term and condition. Exemptions क्या है? तो rights of the data principal and obligation of data feudatories except data security will not apply in sacrificed cases. This include prevention and investigation of offense and enforcement of legal rights or claims. The central government may, by notification, exempt certain activities from the application of the bill. This includes processing by government entities in the interest of the security of the state and public order and research, archiving or statistical purposes. Data Protection Board of India. The central government will establish the Data Protection Board of India. Key function of the board includes monitoring complaints and imposing penalties, directing data feudatories to take necessary measures in the event of data breach, and hearing grievances made by affected persons. Penalties क्या है? The schedule to the bill specified penalties for various offences such as up to rupees 200 crore for non-fulfillment of obligations and for child, and 250 crore for failure to take security measures to prevent data breaches. Next is कॉफ़ी पोसा एक्ट 1974 अबाउट. तो ये न्यूज़ में क्यों था? द एक्ट प्रोवाइड द प्रिवेंशन डिटेंशन फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ कंजर्वेशन एंड आर्ग्यूमेंटेशन ऑफ foreign exchange and preventing smuggling activities. It also empowers authorities to confiscate properties and assets acquired through smuggling activities of or foreign exchange violation. Communication क्या था? तो any detention order made by the state government or by an officer of the state government must be forwarded to the central government within 10 days. Detained persons should be communicated the ground for detention within 5 days or within 15 days from the date of detention in expectational circumstances, with written reason for the delay in communication. Grounds for detention. If a person has been detained on 2 or more ground, then such order of detention should be made separately on each of such ground. Applicability क्या है? तो this act is applicable to Indian citizen as well as foreigner who are involved in smuggling goods including gold, narcotics or other prohibited item or who engage in foreign exchange violations. Power of examining the detention order. High Court can examine detention order prior to execution, and a detention order cannot be challenged as per execution stage on ground of delay in execution. No detention order can be held invalid only because ये हो जाएगा तो the detainee is outside the limit of the terrestrial jurisdiction of the government or the office making the order of detention, or that the place of detention or of such person is outside the said limit. Next is Digital India Act 2023. Context क्या है? तो the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology MATI recently announced the Digital India Act 2023. It will replace the 2-decade-old Information Technology Act 2000 or IT Act.
की प्रोविजन क्या है, तो इट क्रिएट स्पेशलाइज्ड एंड डेडिकेटेड adjudicatory mechanism for online civil and criminal offense which is easily accessible, delivery time remedies, resolve cyber disputes, etc. It places a strong emphasis on online safety and trust with a commitment to safeguarding citizens' right in the digital realm while remaining adaptable to shifting market dynamic and international legal principles. It recognizes the growing importance of new age technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, and blockchain and provide guidelines for the responsible utilization. It upholds the concept of an open internet, striking a balance between accessibility and necessary regulation to maintain order and protect users. It mandates stringent know your customer KYC requirement for wearable devices accompanied by criminal law sanctions. It contemplates a review of the safe harbor price, which presently shield online platform from liability related to user guaranteed context, including a potential shift in online accountability standard. Next is Forest Rights Act 2006. About the act is considered a milestone because earlier act does not recognize the symbolic relationship of the STs with the forest and their dependence on the forest. Features क्या है? The act recognizes and vests the forest rights and occupation in forest dwelling schedule tribes FDSTs and other traditional forest dwellers OTFDs who have been residing in such forest for generations but whose rights cannot be recorded. It provides a framework for recording the forest rights so vested and the nature of evidence required for such recognition and vesting in respect of forest land. नोडल एजेंसी क्या है, तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ द ट्राइबल अफेयर्स. रोल ऑफ ग्राम सभा क्या है, तो ग्राम सभा इज द अथॉरिटी टू इनिशिएट द प्रोसेस ऑफ डिटरमाइनिंग द नेचर एंड एक्सटेंट ऑफ इंडिविजुअल और कम्युनिटी फॉरेस्ट राइट्स और बोथ. Rights recognized under the Act. Title rights. It gives FDST and OTFD the right to ownership to land formed by tribals or forest dwellers subject to the maximum of 4 hectares. Also, the ownership is only for land that is actually being cultivated and no new land will be granted. Use right क्या है, the rights of the dweller extend to extracting minor forest produce, grazing area, etc. Relief and development rights to rehabilitate in case of illegal eviction of forested displacement and to basic amenities such as restrictions of forest protection. Forest management rights. It includes the right to protect, regenerate or conserve or manage any community forest resources which they have been traditionally protecting and conserving for sustainable use. Our next topic is Kaveri water dispute and other major river water disputes. About Kaveri river, पोनी रिवर इसको एक होते हैं, तो इसके बारे में देखते हैं. It is an interstate basin that originates in Tala Kaveri in the Brahmagiri hill of Western Ghats in Karnataka and passes through Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry before draining into the Bay of Bengal. It also known as the Dakshin Ganga, the Ganga of the south. Third largest river after Godavari and Krishna in southern India. The largest in the state of Tamil Nadu. ट्रिब्यूटरीज क्या है, तो लेफ्ट बैंक ट्रिब्यूटरीज देखते हैं. हरंगी है, हेमावती है, ओरिजिन इन वेस्टर्न घाट, ज्वाइन द रिवर कावेरी नियर कृष्णा राजा सागर, सिमशा है और अर्कावती है. राइट बैंक ट्रिब्यूटरीज में देखते हैं, तो लक्ष्मण त्रिकिता है, काबिनी है, ओरिजिनेट इन केरला एंड फ्लो ईस्टवर्ड टू ज्वाइन द कावेरी एंड एट तिरुमुरा कुडल, नरासीपुर, स्वर्णवती है और होनी होल, भवानी है, लोका पावनी है, नयाल है, अमरावती है. डैम्स इस पे कौन कौन से बने हुए हैं, तो हरंगी एंड हेमरावती डैम, कृष्ण सागर डैम इन कर्नाटका एंड मिट्टूर डैम इन तमिलनाडु. About the Interstate Water Dispute Act 1956. It was enacted in 1956, amended in 2002 to include Sarikira Commission's recommendation in accordance
with the provision under 7th Schedule and Article 262 of the Constitution. 7th Schedule में क्या है तो defines the legislative authority over water resources in entry 17 state and entry 56 union territory. Article 262(1) it states that the Parliament may by law provide for the adjudication of dispute or complaints with respect to the use, distribution and control of water of any interstate river and river valley. Article 262 Clause 2 neither the Supreme Court nor any other court can exercise its jurisdiction in respect of any such dispute or complaint referred to Clause 1. The Sarkaria Commission mandated a 1-year time frame to set up water dispute tribunal and a 3-year time frame to give a decision. The Act empowered the central government to set up an ad hoc tribunal for the adjudication of a dispute between two or more states with respect to interstate river or river valley. The decision of the tribunal is final and binding on the parties of the dispute. Neither the Supreme Court nor any other court has any jurisdiction with respect to any water dispute referred to such tribunal. The Supreme Court has jurisdiction to decide any dispute between states in connection with water supplies if legal rights or interests are concerned. Major interstate river water dispute. गोदावरी तो ये कौन कौन से स्टेट में तो देखते हैं महाराष्ट्र. डिस्प्यूट्स कौन कौन से स्टेट में तो महाराष्ट्र, आंध्र प्रदेश, कर्नाटक, मध्य प्रदेश एंड उड़ीसा एंड स्टार्टेड इन 1969. कृष्णा के लिए महाराष्ट्र, आंध्र प्रदेश एंड कर्नाटका ट्रिब्यूनल 1 फॉर्म हुआ 1969 में और ट्रिब्यूनल 2 हुआ 2004 में. नर्मदा के लिए राजस्थान, मध्य प्रदेश, गुजरात एंड महाराष्ट्र ट्रिब्यूनल फॉर्म हुआ 1969. रावी एंड ब्यास पंजाब, हरियाणा एंड सतलज ट्रिब्यूनल हुआ 1986 में. कावेरी हुआ केरला, कर्नाटका, तमिलनाडु एंड पौंडीचेरी ट्रिब्यूनल हुआ 1990 में. वेंसाधरा हुआ आंध्र प्रदेश और उड़ीसा के बीच 2010 में. महाद्यायी हुआ गोवा, कर्नाटका एंड महाराष्ट्र में 2010. महानदी हुआ छत्तीसगढ़ एंड उड़ीसा 2018. Our next topic is Odisha Riadi's draft of PESA Act 2000. PESA Act's rule. Context is क्या है तो post 27 year of enactment of the Panchayat extension to scheduled area Act 1996, Odisha has finally introduced the draft of Odisha Gram Panchayat extension in scheduled area PESA Rule 2023 about Panchayat extension to scheduled area PESA Act 1996. The PESA Act 1996 was brought in a response to the long-standing demand of the Tribunal Committee in India for greater authority and control over their own affairs. PESA Act was enacted on this 24 December 1996 to enable tribunal self-rule in 5th schedule area. An act drew inspiration from the provision of the 73rd and 74th Amendment of the Indian Constitution. PESA Act gives special power to the Gram Sabha in scheduled area, especially for managing natural resource. Major provisions क्या है तो ग्राम सभा. The PESA Act established the Gram Sabha, a forum for the participation of the community in development process. The Gram Sabha is responsible for the identification of development projects, the preparation of development plans, and the implementation of these plans. Village level institution क्या है तो the Act provides for establishing village level institution to carry out development activities and provide basic services to the community. These institutions could include the Gram Panchayat, Gram Sabha and Panchayat Samiti. Power and function. The PESA legislation gave the Gram Sabha and the Gram Panchayat significant power and function in relation to the management of natural resource, the protection of environment and the regulation of economic activities. Consultation according to the Act requires that the Gram Sabha can consulted before any development project or activity are undertaken in scheduled area. Funds क्या है? The Act allowed transferring fund to the Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat to enable them to perform their function. Next is land. The Act provides for the protection of land rights to the tribal communities in scheduled area and require that this consent be obtained before any land is required or transferred. Cultural and social practices. The Act protects the cultural and social practices of the tribal community in the scheduled area and prohibits any interference in these practices. Next is unlawful association under UAPA 1967.
कंटेक्स्ट ऐसा क्या, द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर डिक्लेयर्ड the Jammu Kashmir Democratic Freedom Party as an unlawful association under the Unlawful Activity Protection Prevention Act UAPA 1967. Unlawful Activity Prevention Act UAPA. The UAPA was enacted in 1967. Under the act, offence and cognizable arrest could be made without a warrant. It lays down the definition and rules for designating an organization as an unlawful association. It is if it is engaged in certain type of activities. Unlawful activities is defined as any action taken by any individual or association through an act, words spoken or written, or by sign or visual representation, which is intended to support a claim to bring about the cession of a part of the territory of India, or the secession of a part of territory of India from the Union, or which incites any individual or group of individuals to bring about such secession or secessions. It covers activity which declaim, question, disrupt, or are intended to dispute the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India, and which cause or intend to cause disaffection against India. In 2004, the UAPA was amended and terrorist activities were brought within its fold, under which 34 outfits, including the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, was banned. Under the Act, the central government was designated an organization as a terrorist organization if it commit or practice in acts of terrorism, prepares for terrorism, promote terrorism, is otherwise involved in terrorism. The 2019 amendment gave the Home Ministry the power to designate individual as a terrorist. That extended to the whole of India. It also applies to citizens of India who are abroad, persons in service of the Indian government, and person or ships and aircraft registered in India. Penalty क्या है, the death or imprisonment of life, and shall also be liable to a fine if such act has resulted in the death of a person. Reforming India's criminal law, the government introduced 3 bills in Lok Sabha to replace the existing criminal laws in India. These bills are Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, replacing the Indian Penal Code IPC 1860. भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता 2023, replacing the Code of Criminal Procedure CRPC 1973, and भारतीय साक्ष्य बिल 2023, replacing the Indian साक्ष्य बिल Indian Evidence Act 1872. की फीचर्स ऑफ भारतीय न्याय संहिता 2023. सडिशन कैसे होगा, तो इट इज़ द BNS बिल प्रोविजन 150 अंडर दिस चैप्टर pertaining to offense against the state talk about acts endangering sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Terrorism क्या है, तो for the first time word terrorism has been defined under the BSA bill, which was not there under IPC. In the BNS bill, the offense of defamation carries a simple imprisonment of up to 2 years, or with fine, or with both, or with community services. Mob lynching क्या है, तो for the first time capital punishment has been introduced for the offense of mob lynching. Sexual exploitation of women on the pretext of marriage, job promotion, or by concealing identity will be considered a crime. The new bill omits the provision of the offense of adultery. This is the line with the Supreme Court's ruling in 2018 in the case of Joseph Shine versus Union of India judgment. The new bill does not include any punishment for the unnatural sexual offense against men. This is in line with the Supreme Court an anonymous reading down of section 377 of IPC. The provision legalizing marital rape has, however, been retained. Speedy legal procedure. According to the proposed bill, a charge sheet will have to be filed within 19 days, and the court can give permission for another 19 days. Probe will have to be completed in 180 days and sent for trial. After trial, judgment will have to be given in 30 days. Key feature of Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita 2023. Greater use of technology. Trials, appeal proceeding, recording of deposition, including those of public servant and public officers, may be held in electronic mode. The statement of the accused too can be recorded through video conferencing. Communication devices में क्या होगा तो on the direction of a court or a police officer, a person is required to produce any document device that is likely to contain digital evidence for the purpose of an inquiry. Use of handcuffs. If police officer may be permitted to use of handcuffs where arresting a person if he is in a repeat offender who escaped from custody or has committed an organized crime, terrorist act, offense against the state etc. A specific safeguard. As per the bill, no person can be arrested without prior permission of an officer not below the rank of DSP in case where the offense is punishable with less than 3 years or if the person is above 60 years of age. Mercy petition. After being informed by jail authorities about the disposal of the petition of a convict sentenced to death, he or his legal heir or relative can submit a mercy petition within 30 days to the governor. If rejected, the person can petition the president with 60 days. No appeal against the order of the president shall lie in any court. Section 2. Prosecute. A decision to grant or reject sanction to prosecute a public servant must be reached by the government within 120 days of receiving a request. If the government failed to do so, the sanction will not deemed to have been accorded. No sanction is required in case including sexual offense, trafficking, etc. Arms in possession. With the provision granting power to the DM remain as they are in section 144 of the CRPC, the provision to prohibit carrying arms does not find a mention. Sample without arrest. The bill has provision for the magistrate to order any person to give sample of his signature, handwriting, voice or finger impression for the purpose of investigation without being arrested. Detention by police. There are provisions for public to detain or remove any person resisting, refusing or ignoring or disregarding direction given as part of Prevention Act. A trial in absentia. It prescribed in stagnant anti-terror legislation such as Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA, where an alternative criminal law framework applied. In such law, the burden of proof is reversed, with the onus on the accused to prove himself not guilty, rather than the state carrying the duty to prove guilty against the accused. Key feature of Bharatiya Sakshya Bill 2023. According to the bill, electronic evidences in any data created or sentenced by a system or device that can be kept or accused using any method. It establishes prescribed standard for the admissibility of electronic evidence, including authenticity, integrity, and dependability, which can stop digital data from being abused or manipulated. It acknowledged expert opinion as type of evidence that can help establish relevant fact or circumstances for a case, much like medical opinion or handwriting analysis. It presents the presumption of innocence, which states that everyone accused of a crime is thought to be innocent unless and until they are proven guilty beyond a responsible doubt. As a basic tenet of criminal justice system, it lays out specific guidelines for the admissibility of DNA evidence, including permission and chair of custody, which can improve the precision and dependability of biological evidence. Next is Registration of Birth and Death Amendment Act 2023. तो उसे हम लोग अगले वीडियो लेक्चर में देखेंगे। इस वीडियो लेक्चर को हम लोग यहीं पे समाप्त करते हैं। उम्मीद है कि आपको यह वीडियो लेक्चर पसंद आ रहा होगा, तो कमेंट बॉक्स में जरूर बताएंगे हमें आपको हमारी यह पहल कैसी लग रही है और आप इससे किससे लाभान्वित हो रहे हैं। वीडियो को लाइक करें, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें लोगों तक जो इस बार के UPSC एग्जाम देने वाले हैं, उन लोगों तक इसे जरूर पहुँचाएँ, ताकि वे भी अपना करंट अफेयर का रिवीजन अच्छे से कर सकें और करंट अफेयर क्वेश्चन में वो सहज महसूस करें। तो मिलता है आपसे अगले वीडियो लेक्चर में, तब तक के लिए जय हिंद, जय भारत।